गोवन वार्ता लाईव्हच्या या कार्यक्रमासाठी मी रजनी नाईकगावकर वैदिक गणित या विषयावर पुन्हा एकदा घेऊन आले आहे आजची मुलाखत. आज आपल्यासोबत आहे रिचर्ड ब्लम, फ्लोरिडा, अमेरिकेवरून. रिचर्ड हे पेन्शन ॲक्च्युरी आहेत. ते इन्शुरन्स कंपनी तसेच पेन्शन फर्मचे कन्सल्टंट म्हणूनही काम करतात आणि त्यांची फ्लोरिडा येथे स्वतःची पेन्शन कन्सल्टिंग अँड ॲक्च्युरियलची प्रॅक्टिस आहे. मागील 30 वर्ष रिचर्ड वैदिक गणित जागतिक स्तरावर पोहोचावे म्हणून कार्यशील आहेत. त्यांनी इयत्ता 3री पासून तर PhD पर्यंतच्या उमेदवारांना वैदिक गणित शिकवलं आहे. तसेच अंध व बधिर मुलांनाही त्यांनी वैदिक गणित शिकवलं आहे. इतकंच नव्हे तर सुधारक संस्थेमध्ये असलेल्या तुरुंगातल्या कैद्यांनाही त्यांनी वैदिक गणिताची गोडी दाखवलेली आहे. त्यांनी लिहिलेले वैदिक गणितावर पुस्तक मॅथ इज नॉट अ 4 लेटर वर्ड हे प्रकाशित आहे. तर चला जाणून घेऊया त्यांचं वैदिक गणिताविषयीचं मत. वेलकम रिचर्ड ऑन दिस प्लॅटफॉर्म ऑफ गोवन वार्ता लाईव्ह.
Thank you for having me.
Richard, why do you feel Vedic math is an answer to the perception of math being a difficult subject across worldwide?
What I found over the last 30 years is that many students, almost all students, hate math. It's hard, it's boring, they feel that they've got a calculator, they don't need it. This dislike for math is very pervasive all over. It's not just in the United States, but in other countries too. What I found is that because of this dislike for math, the kids are just not learning math anymore. With Vedic math, there's a little different approach. Number one, the techniques in Vedic math are relatively simple to understand and to apply. And when you show this to a student, they are suddenly doing problems that they never thought they could do before, faster than, I like to say, anybody in the country. I mean, it is so quick. And when a student can do problems that fast, it's a boost to their self-esteem and their self-confidence. And when that happens, not only do they do better in math, but their self-esteem and their self-confidence goes through the roof. And I've seen this happen many times. One quick story, just to kind of give you an indication of the effect that it has on young people. I was teaching a class, and there was one young student sitting right in front of me. And as I'm talking, he's writing everything I say down. I mean, this kid is really intense. And when I finished my explanation, I said, would anyone like to hear it again? And he kind of raised his hand, kind of shy, and he says, Mr. Blum, yes, could you do it again? I said, sure. Now, as I'm explaining it a second time, he's in a chair that's got 2 arms on it. He's grasping the arms of the chair. His shoulders were like up close to his ears. And it's like he is looking at his notes as I'm talking, and he's very intense. As I finished the end of my explanation, I said, no, is that better? Well, he dropped his shoulders, he dropped his hands to his side, he put this big smile on his face, and he says, Mr. Blum, I got it. That is really cool. And then this is a common response that, math doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be boring. It could be easy, and the easier way is the faster way. Unfortunately, I think nowadays kids are taught to hate math when they use traditional methods. Vedic methods are different. I'm not going to say they're new, but they're relatively new to this country. They've been around for thousands of years. But it's something whose time has come. And what we're trying to do with Math to Shine is spread Vedic math in the United States and beyond. And we're just starting to do it, but I think it's going to be a great success.
I absolutely agree with every word you said. Vedic math is fun to learn, and through Math to Shine platform, it becomes easier to learn at your pace and as per how you want to learn, which is the topic you want to learn. So the explanation, the videos on Math to Shine platform are amazing. Thank you for that answer, Rich.
Let me just say this one thing. The first, I've been doing this for 30 years. Now I've got my own ways of teaching things. But the first time I saw the Math to Shine platform, it's like, this is complete. This is good. This is better than I've been doing. And I mean, I was just very, very impressed by it. And that's why I got involved with it, because the whole point of everyone currently that's involved in Math to Shine is to get the kids better at math.
Correct.
That's what we're trying to do.
Correct. So, Rick, today, can you take us through some Vedic math examples where our viewers can understand that Vedic math is not limited to some tricks or simple math, but can also be applied to higher grades?
Absolutely. You have that PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, I have it with me.
Okay. First slide.
Yes.
What I'm going to show you here is basically some relatively elementary uses of Vedic math and how, that's good, and how it differs from traditional math and how effective it is.
Okay.
So let's go to the first slide. Okay. Basically, in Vedic math, there's a technique called vertically and crosswise. And amongst its other applications, it helps you to multiply very fast. You can multiply 2 digits by 2 digits, 3 digits by 3 digits, and in this example, 4 digits by 4 digits. Next slide. If you were to multiply this the traditional way, you would have to go through all of this. There's like 4 rows, and then it's columns. Everything has to be lined up. And
it's a lengthy process.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard, but your chances of making a mistake somewhere along the line are there. Plus, the younger you are, sometimes you don't line the numbers up right. Sometimes your ones turn into sevens, your 7 turns into 1s. It can be a difficult process. Next slide. In Vedic math, as unbelievably as this looks, the answer is just one line. What you're writing is the solution. There are no middle steps. There's no scratch work. And this is important, with the Vedic math methods, you can work the problem out not only from right to left, which is the way we write, read, and say numbers, right to left, but you can work it out from left to right. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, the most significant numbers in the solution are the numbers, the highest numbers. The highest numbers are on the left. And with most of the methods, you can work out solutions right to left or left to right. I actually had an 8-year-old do this. And she got it right the first time, and it was like, it looked like magic. It really did. Next slide. Squaring numbers. It's easy enough to say 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36. But when you start getting into, well, what's 36 squared? What's 152 squared? In this problem, what's 3,214 squared? Well, if we were going to work it out traditionally, next slide, this is what you're going to have to go through. Again, not particularly difficult, but tedious and plenty of areas to make a mistake. Next slide. Again, Vedically, it's a one-line solution, and it can be worked from right to left to right. And it's relatively easy to do. It's done in your head. There's no mistaking 7s for 1s or anything like that. And it really is a remarkable thing to see somebody do this. Next slide. For those of you who have nightmares of algebra when you were in high school or junior school, this is a standard problem multiplication of polynomials. Again, not difficult, but let's see how you'd have to do it traditional way. This is what you would have to do. In all candor, when I worked out this problem for the presentation, I got it wrong twice. And again, I do this stuff. Not difficult, but there are plenty of areas to make mistakes, lining up things, whatever. Vedically, You can go right to left or left to right. And in a problem like this, you could really start wherever you want. You want to start with the x squared term, you could start with the x squared term. You don't have to start with the numbers all the way on the right. There's a lot of flexibility, and it's really easy. It's an easy thing to do. And like I said, to see somebody do this, I actually had somebody, I did this for somebody and I showed it to him. And I said, well, what do you think? And he goes, I couldn't have done it. It's like, I just did it. Here it is. I must have cheated. I said, what do you think? I've got every polynomial multiplication problem memorized? I said, no. And the reason for that, it's very important why he was bringing this up. In traditional methods, many, many times in traditional methods, when you're trying to solve problems like this, there's one road to the solution. There is only one road to the solution. You have to do it this way. If you do anything different, you get off the road, you're not going to solve the problem. And basically, that's the traditional way that we saw previously. There are, keep it there. There are other methods. There are other methods that you could use, Vedic methods, where not only is it faster, it's easier, it's quicker, and you look like the superstar when you do it. Next slide. Okay, here we're doing division of polynomials. And I'm not even sure they teach this anymore at school. But what you would have to do on this one, this is what you would have to do to get the answer. And again, when I worked this out for myself, I didn't get it the first time. I didn't get it the second time. I'm not going to embarrass myself to tell you how many times I had to do this to get it. But
I'm not even going to try it.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, you don't see these things anymore. That's why I said I'm not even sure they do this in school. So on the next slide, again, it's basically one line. Now, the method we're using here is something called the on-the-flag division method. And what's very, very important to realize with Vedic math, the methods you use for non-algebraic problems, like a regular division problem, 38 into 297,000, whatever, those methods translate directly into algebraic methods. You don't have to learn a new method. It's there. And again, one line answer. And to see somebody do it, it's a remarkable thing to see. But the thing that always amazes me when I see this stuff is it's always been there. It's just nobody noticed it, that you could do it this way. And I'd rather be able to do it the short, fast way than not even be taught at all. That's what math is about. Okay, I believe that was the last slide. Is that the last slide?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, but now, how far can we go with Vedic math? Obviously, you could do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of regular numbers. We can do it's got algebraic applications. It's got trigonometric applications. For those of you who ever had to suffer through trigonometry, and if you vaguely recall it, you had this multitude of formulas that you had to memorize. Sine of alpha plus beta, sine of alpha minus beta. Nobody ever knew where they came from. You just had to memorize them. Using Vedic trigonometry, you could forget all that. You don't have to use those formulas. You don't have to memorize those formulas anymore. There's a certain scheme you use in Vedic math which precludes you from having to memorize those things. And it's a lot easier to do. That's trigonometry. They're geometrical applications. There are applications in differential equations and calculus and on and on. I myself wrote a paper where I was comparing the Vedic method for solving cubic and quartic equations to basically the way it's being done now if you have to do it. And without going too far into the weeds, there are recursive formulas that you use to get answers to these things. The Vedic method is not a recursive method. And basically, I counted the number of steps it took to get, let's say, a 5-digit solution solutions to 5 places. And the Vedic method compared to the recursive methods was anywhere between 20% to 95% less number of steps.
It's amazing.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, it really was amazing. And then also the nice thing about Vedic math is there are many, many areas that were thought of by the original mathematician Tirthaji. And he wrote 10 books, 16 books, I'm sorry, one for each one of the rules that he was using. And unfortunately, the books got lost.
Correct.
He rewrote one book, which was published after he died. And it's just kind of a survey book.
Yes.
But one of the gentlemen who's a founder of Math to Shine, Kenneth Williams, he took a great interest in it in the late 70s. And he's been rediscovering a lot of the applications. And there are many applications that are yet to be rediscovered. And if anyone would like to learn Vedic math to a certain degree, you don't have to be a PhD to do this, but you may very well rediscover some of those applications yourself. And it's, the sky's the limit on what you could do with Vedic math. And again, it's good for kids, it's good for adults. I've actually taught the deaf, I've taught the blind, I've taught prisoners in a correctional institution. And everybody enjoyed it. And like, when do you ever hear that? Go to a math class and enjoy the math class? Out of the question. Here, every single time, they love it. They love it. Their parents love it. They love it. And it just works very, very well for them. And I'm really hoping that through Math to Shine and the organization we're developing in the United States, that we will be able to spread the word, get everybody happy, get everybody better than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Vedic math originated in India. Do you feel any cultural or religious beliefs attached to it which can stop someone from learning it?
No.
That's a short and quick answer.
I've actually taught homeschooling groups, which tend to be fairly religious in certain ways. And I've actually been asked, when I teach Vedic math, are there any kind of, religious overtones in there? No. Basically, I teach mathematics. 1 + 1 is 2. There's no God in there. It's just 1 + 1 is 2. And they're very satisfied with that. The only thing you may feel would interrupt your learning with this is, given the fact you've got to learn the traditional ways. Unfortunately, that's the way it is, because that's what you're going to be tested on in school. Okay. What I suggested to one parent when they said, gee, is this going to confuse my children? Learning it one way, learning it another way. And my answer to them was, and this was a big room, like close to 300 people in this room. And I said, how many people here speak a second language? A lot of people raise their hands. And I said, I picked somebody out at random. I said, what language do you speak? And she said, I actually speak Spanish and French. Oh, okay. When you're speaking Spanish and French, and then you shift back to English, does that confuse you? No. How about English to French and Spanish? No. I said, that's just the way it is. I mean, basically, it's a different method, different category. It will not confuse them. And in fact, I said, at the very least, these Vedic methods can be used to check the math that they do. Now, let's say a youngster works on a problem and it takes him 2 minutes. He decides to check it Vedically rather than redo the whole problem the traditional way. He redoes it Vedically in 20 seconds. He gets it right. Well, what's going to happen for these smarter kids? It's going to occur to them, why am I spending 2 minutes on this problem when I could do it in 20 seconds with Vedic math?
Correct.
and they start using that. And also, just as an aside, and I've seen this, nowadays, a lot of kids, when they get tested in math, it's multiple choice, it's done by computer, and it gets graded by computer. So
Absolutely.
they don't really care what you're doing. It's like, what answer do you get? The way they form the answers and they're testing you, they're making the assumption that you're going to be working your problems from right to left. If you have the ability to work it from left to right, there are many problems where you just shortcut the system. It's like you game the system. They don't realize you'd be doing it that way, but you do it that way. And you get the answer, it takes you no time at all, and you get better grades. And also, like I said before, once you kind of appreciate what Vedic math is all about, it helps your self-esteem, it helps your self-confidence, but it does more than that. Everybody knows math is impossible to learn. It's the hardest subject there is. Nobody gets it. Everybody knows nobody gets it. But once you get it, and you've conquered the hardest subject there is, your other subjects, which let's say you might have been having a little trouble in, the difficulty there pales by comparison. If you could do math, I can do economics. I was having a lot of trouble with it because I didn't think I could do it, but now I know I could do it because this has got to be easier than math. So not only does it help you in math, it will help you in other subjects too. And that makes everybody happy.
Yeah, correct. I do believe that, whichever country the gold come from, it will still remain gold. So whether it come from India, whether it come from some other country, gold is gold, right? So whatever is good, we should always accept it. And I completely agree on this that yes, it does help immensely to boost your confidence, to have that, a strong self-image in a child. And if a adult can learn, then a child will learn faster because kids learn a language faster or anything. They learn it faster. And if we can develop their interest and passion in it, they would definitely learn Vedic math as well as traditional math, whatever is taught in the school.
One thing I found, whenever I teach, I always ask that one or both parents be there also. For two reasons. Number one, if the child is really young and their attention span is kind of short, the parent can kind of keep them in line, which is good. But nowadays, how many things can parents and their children learn together? Kids know everything nowadays, but this they don't know. Parents, they don't know this either. This is something they could both learn together. And I actually had one family that were telling me, sounds kind of nerdy, but this is what they were doing. Sunday breakfast. While they'd be eating breakfast, they'd be throwing around math problems. And it's like, you pass the bacon. Okay, what's 21 times 11? Yes, you don't get bacon. And that kind of solidifies what you know, not only for the child, but for the parent too. So, I mean, it's a wholesome family activity to get involved with because, like I said, it benefits everybody. Adults who have hated math all their lives or felt they couldn't do it, this is like an opening a door. One quick story. I have a lot of stories, but I'll say this way. I was teaching a group of adults at this seniors community in Florida, which is like one of the largest in the country. And I had a group of people there, and most of the people there were old. They were old people. But they were there, they wanted to learn Vedic math. And there was this one lady, she looked a bit older than most. And I think her name was Anne, as I remember. And I'm teaching some concept. And all of a sudden, I look over to Anne. Anne has her hands up to her face, and she's crying. And my first thought was, what did I say? Because I'm the only one talking. It had to be me. I had to say something that upset her. I don't want anybody to cry. So I went over and I said, Anne, why are you crying? She goes, all my life, people have been telling me I couldn't do anything with math. I'm stupid in math. And what you're showing me here is that I'm not stupid in math and I can do it. And she goes, that made me so happy that I started to cry. You know, now I'm listening to this, I almost started to cry. But it's, you know, I just have not found any particular group that for some strange reason doesn't like Vedic math or can't learn Vedic math. Everybody can do it and everybody does. So
I can completely relate to this experience. When I came across Vedic math, I cried because of happiness, you know, because it
yeah,
gives you that feeling that this is easy and this is something which can be applied and can be done very fast. So I can completely relate to this experience. We had
mhm.
a wonderful conversation, Richard. Thank you so much for your time and wonderful insight about Vedic math. Thank you,
You're
Richard.
welcome.
वैदिक गणिताच्या ह्या मुलाखत सत्रातून जास्तीत जास्त प्रेक्षकांपर्यंत वैदिक गणितावर जागरूकता निर्माण करण्याचा हा खारीचा वाटा सफल होईल अशी मी रजनी नाईकगावकर अपेक्षा करते आणि निरोप घेते. धन्यवाद.